Hello and welcome everybody. I'm actually signing a couple of portraits that I just made for somebody, and we're gonna go, and they said they want to buy them, so I'm just signing them right now. And we're gonna sign them, take a couple photos, and send them on over. I do have to do some prep work on them, so for now, this is my self-portrait here. I wanted to go a little bit of a neo-expressionist self-portrait. So we're going to sign a couple of portraits right now. And let's see, so put this oil pastel back. And let's go ahead and take these photos here. Gonna knock out some photos in a little bit in the evening here, but before that I want to knock out a live stream. We're gonna do that tonight. We're gonna go live here. Memorial Day art in chat. We're gonna be talking about art today. And let's see, how do we want to do this? We're going to go enhance. No, I don't need any enhancements. Settings, moderators, about me, video quality, audience controls, live GIFs, gift gallery rankings. Yeah, okay, I like all that. Comment settings. Mute duration. I don't know what that means. Show the most sent comment, allow comments, content disclosure. I want to know how I get rid of this funky little flower design here on TikTok. But anyway, let's just go live, shall we? We're live on multiple platforms here: YouTube, Facebook, and all of that. All the big major channels for streaming. We're live and we are active. So let's go like this. Find a good angle for this piece. And we're gonna go ahead and do some art, shall we? So if you're tuning in from YouTube, you're seeing me from this angle. If you're tuning in from TikTok, you're getting me from straight on. And we're streaming in 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right, and welcome everybody. Happy Memorial Day. Hope you're all doing fantastic. So earlier I was at the beach today and it was a great day. Almost went to this event. Like, thank goodness for Google Maps and people writing reviews like almost instantly. Hey, Shazbear, welcome. So we got Shazbear. What's going on? Happy Memorial Day. I don't know if you're from the United States of America, but it is Memorial Day here. It is a national holiday, a very highly celebrated holiday in the United States of America. So if you are from the US of A, happy Memorial Day. I was just at the beach, and it was a beautiful day at the beach at Huntington Beach in Los Angeles, near Los Angeles, California. Huntington Beach is its own place. So yes, happy Memorial Day, and you know, to all the Americans, but also all the veterans out there who have given so much. And with that, gonna go ahead and get started. So I actually did this piece yesterday, but I wasn't happy with my final result. So let me just share. So I did this hand yesterday, down here at the bottom, this hand, but I wasn't happy with it. So I'm gonna do it again and see if I could get a result that I'm more happy about. A more exciting result. But you know, I'm streaming on TikTok as well as YouTube. So Shaz, you have the floor on YouTube. Open to hearing whatever you have to say. But as people join in on the TikTok here, I can just start to see a variety of people. We got Madison Hallock, Alejandra Perry, Amanda Clem, Illy, Lindsay K, Angie May. Look at all these rhyming names. How great is that? Sunnyskin, Stephanie Pudding-Cupper? That's a hilarious name. How did you come up with Pudding-Cupper? De Pie Siempre, Hunter Holtzfor. I'm going to keep just going off names until it kind of stops, slows down a little. Heidi Joe Chicky? Is that Heidi Joe? Heidi Joe Chicky. V Helen, user 365. Alize, Lynn, Candy Itwaru, Roger, Katya, Edith, Ed, Shauna, Jessica, Rosebud. I'm going to keep going. Let's see how many people can keep joining. Jacqueline, Heart Jacqueline, Diana, Sliding, It's Always Me, Valentina, the cat. Is that a cat? Martha Villator, Ever Hopeful, Jay Fezzi, Melanie Fan, Nay, Carice World. Hey Shaz, thanks for the compliment. Really appreciate you taking a look into all those things and stopping by. I don't know if you're a collector or a student or just someone looking to be entertained. I was thinking about the other day of just how, like, what would you go for entertainment back in the day? Like when they didn't have television, didn't have radio, it was probably look at art. Look at fine art, or look at, I'm sure they had like theater, but to be able to see fine art was much rarer back in the day. So Adaki, not found. Welcome back. Here, let's get moving on this hand. I've been delaying this for long enough on working on this hand. This is a pretty difficult hand if I don't say so myself, but this is my second attempt at it, so we'll see if it goes any better than the previous one. And what I think I need to do here is just let's see. So this is about twice the length of that. So I need to go here and go twice the length. So right here, twice the length. Will I learn from my mistakes from my previous one? So Adaki, welcome. We have some returning visitors. Yesterday I did some portraits. I had the opportunity to make some portraits for my top gifters. Very fortunate for them. Made a couple different portraits. Wanted to do them in a neo-expressionist style. So special shout out, thanks for my top gifters from yesterday, Shay and Nate. Shay and Nate. This is my self-portrait. Does it look like me? I guess this looks like me, right? It's self-portrait. Alright, anyway. More self-portraits to come. More portraits to come. What are my opinions on trying to recreate an art piece I've seen? Would I consider it copying? So Shaz, if you go to pretty much any art school, what you'll find is that that's like a huge thing in art schools. Literally just copying what you see. So, my opinion, my personal opinion is to always, if you're going to recreate something, to always add your own twist to it. However, there's like this, from what I understand, in like the high-level ateliers, the sophisticated art schools of the classical Renaissance style of fanciful art, whatever. In that world, I think the ultimate like exercise is to literally copy a piece as perfectly as possible. So you would take like the girl with the pearl earring is a big one, and then you'll do your best to copy it exactly, or a master copy they call it, right? A master copy. So that from my understanding in art schools, that is like the ultimate proof and demonstration of ability or whatever. But I also think in modern art schools, like contemporary art schools, I think that's like they've been phasing that out a little bit compared to like the old school art schools, and it's more about like personal expression. So if we go back to my opinions, it's adding your own spin to things, which is why for this piece, what I do here. So this is actually a drawing book that's been around since the 1850s. So not this one specifically. I believe this is a reprint by some company. But the original drawing book called Cours de Dessin, I might be pronouncing that wrong, it's French, but Course for Drawing course by Charles Bargue. You can actually look it up, and I think there's a free version. This is a reprint But instead of just trying to draw these with a pencil or charcoal as it was originally meant to do, I used oil pastel and actually colored in. So that's my spin and take on these. But here's the other thing. So I actually spend a lot of time doing recreating or adding my own spin to pieces that I've done. Like this piece back here, these 4 paintings right here. And by the way, you know, just because I say something doesn't mean you should follow it. I like to add that caveat here. I know you're asking for my opinion, so you care. I appreciate that. But, you know, I also like to add the disclaimer that my opinion is just one opinion out of 8 billion people on this entire planet. And so this piece right here is based on let me just grab it for you and show you up close. So this piece up here is actually based on a series of drawings by Vincent van Gogh. So I took his drawings and I put them into a painting. So, you know, I looked at his drawings, I sketched them with paint onto this, and I painted it with my own interpretation of it. So that's just an example of, you know, I guess taking something that's been done and coming up with your own ideas. And I definitely think that, you know, coming from a paint or a science background, so I actually did not study art in school. I did go to an online art school, but I didn't study traditional art in a school. I studied science. I was a science major. And what I find interesting about being a science major is like copying is like the worst. Like it's a bannable offense, right? Like you can get kicked out of school for copying an idea. So to really shake my head out of this mentality that copying is bad for art's sake, it was really difficult for me. But you know what I find is that in the art world, it's almost like totally acceptable. And here's the funny thing: is a lot of people, unfortunately, can't tell a copy from something that's not a copy. And you know that might be a good or bad thing. But I was on Reddit the other day, and I hope if I'm answering your question, feel free to let me know. Feel free to chime in. I could go on and just talk about stuff, because that's what streamers do, is they just talk and talk, right? But I like this to be interactive. So if you hear anything you want to chime in on, feel free to jump in with a comment. But I was on Reddit, and I am a big studier of Vincent van Gogh. And someone had said, "Hey, is this like a real Vincent van Gogh drawing or painting?" They had bought it off some website that had claimed that it was like a reprint of Vincent van Gogh, and there was nothing about it that was anything like Vincent's work. And that was somewhat upsetting to me, not because someone tried to, like, you know, copy Vincent van Gogh or whatever, but it was upsetting because someone would like put his name on it. No, it wasn't a hefty price. It was like a $50 print. But the reason why it was upsetting to me was because there are plenty of artists, such as myself, that, you know, do put in the effort to know the styles, to know the different materials, to know, you know, like to learn about this stuff. And I personally wouldn't dare to put like a name, put his name on it, except for adding the credit, right? So the traditional way of giving credit to an artist, if you do something based on their work, is after. So I would say, like, if I did a Campbell Soup tomato can in my own way, I would say after Andy Warhol. If I was to make, like, you know, that painting is after Vincent van Gogh. But they literally just labeled it as by Vincent van Gogh, and it was not his work at all. And someone bought it. And that was the upsetting part. You know, not that somebody had fooled somebody, but that an artist had taken away, or not even an artist, it was literally probably some person in a foreign country somewhere that just took the work and decided to try to sell it and you know, make some profit off it. And You know, they took away from the artists out there. But, you know, that's what AI is going to do. AI is going to take away, but AI doesn't upset me. It's just like they literally just threw his name on it. That, I don't know. A lot of things annoyed me there. But Suzanne Segler, thank you for distracting me and asking me a question to take my mind and segue to a different idea. But no, I'm not an art teacher. I like to say I wouldn't make a good art teacher, but I would make a good coach. Because I don't like to tell people how to do things. I like to just kind of like, you know, help people figure things out for themselves. And there's like a method to that, you know. There's ways of helping people do that. So that's what I like to do. All right. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get into this piece right here. Getting into the hands, figuring out a good length for this hand here. These fingertips. And I'm going to go out on a limb and extend that right there. That's almost pretty much the same length here. So what's my main style? Main style? That's a tough one. I wouldn't say I have a main style. If I was to define my style, I would say like modern. I mean, it's just like a contemporary, somewhere between impressionist and expressionist. Yeah, I would say that, like somewhere between modern impressionist, expressionist. If I had to come up with something. But I'm definitely not going to be the one who defines my work. But there are those are the styles that I follow that I really appreciate and enjoy, would be expressionism, impressionism, yada yada. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, I mean, just out of curiosity, Shaz, Suzanne, you know, I appreciate these questions, but out of curiosity, you know, I can definitely answer questions all day long. But since this is like such a moment to be able to get to know y'all a little bit, out of curiosity for both of you, you know, what makes you ask these questions? You know, are y'all looking to become artists? Are you just doing research? So I feel like if I know a little bit more about where your questions are coming from, I can answer them in a better way rather than just kind of like going on a little ranty-roo. I like to be helpful. And, you know, it can be hard to be helpful if all I do is talk. And assume that what I say is going to truly add value to the conversation here. So that's my goal. I want to add value to our conversation. So Suzanne, you got a sibling who's really into art, so you like to learn about it to relate to them. Okay, well that's fun. And Shazbear, you do art for fun and you're a student in school. I just think it's fun to hear from other artists. You know, Suzanne, so let me let's see. So Suzanne, you've been asking me about different styles. Am I an art teacher? So That's amazing that you're looking to relate to your um, your sibling. And my question would be, have you had difficulty relating to them art-wise? Or are you just trying to find better ways to relate to them? Because what I think is really interesting when it comes to art, one of the things that just like really got to me and really helped me connect with art is realizing that two things actually. So, what do you think the world would look like? And this is just a question for discussion here. What do you think the world would look like? And you could name any of your favorite artists or any artist that you could think of. What would the world look like without Pablo Picasso? What would the world look like without Piet Mondrian? What would the world look like without Leonardo da Vinci, right? Like, pick any artist that you actually admire. And you got to think, like, how they contributed to everything we see today, right? Like, every piece of design, art has evolved in some way since the beginning of the cave paintings. So that's something that kind of like just, hey cat, can you please put that cap back on? The blue cap that might be on a coffee machine. Yeah, just put it back on the egg. All right, so like, thank you. Thanks, cat.
You're welcome.
Okay, so like, what would the world look like? Somebody else might have come up with Picasso's cubism, but it could have taken a whole different round. The world would look totally different. Not because everything is cubist or whatever, but because every movement basically evolves out of each other. So I think that's like number one, is just something that just totally changed the way I see art altogether. Just thinking about how every single piece of furniture in my apartment, how every building I see, every artwork, filmmaking, all of that has transformed in some way because of what came before it. And number two, so that's the question, is like, how would the world look differently without certain pieces? And number two is, this literally just thinking that if you can see an original piece from somebody, every single line, every stroke, every color is like a thought. It's literally an idea. And I think you really have to like get into art yourself to almost appreciate that and kind of get a feel for that. Like, it might be a little too heady if you think like that, but that's really helped me to dive into art. But so you do art for fun, you're a student, just think it's fun to hear from other artists. So you wrote a whole essay on Da Vinci. It's crazy how much you contributed, not just art, but science and engineering. Yeah, exactly. So, tell us, share a little bit about your essay. What was like the main idea? I don't know like how long your essay was, but what was the main idea of each paragraph? So Cookies has joined. Welcome, Cookies. Thank you for being here. Great to have you around. And we're live streaming on YouTube and TikTok too. So if I do go off on a tangent, that's where this is coming from. A couple of different areas. So here we go. Let's go right here. I'm gonna improve on yesterday's piece. So what I found was the problem with yesterday's piece was I had too much. The fingers were not long enough. My fingers were not long enough. So I'm gonna work on fixing that to make them quite a bit longer. And that's the goal of this piece today. See, could this look like the end of the fingers? The end of the finger should go up to, yeah. All right, so we're using blue here, and we're going to continue pushing this. Kaya Lauterbach, hello, welcome. What brings you here today on this wonderful, fantastic Memorial Day? Memorial Day is a day to remember, those who gave very much to us so that we can experience and enjoy life in the United States of America. So happy Memorial Day. And let's see, scrolling around, cool. Well, glad that you're able to scroll in here. So you split your essay into his technological and scientific innovations, tanks, planes, city designs, cranes, accurate skull and heart depictions. All right, so it seems like you know a lot about that, Shaz. And Kaya, cool. So Kaya, lot to scroll through. Lot to scroll through. What do you think made you stop here? What do you think made you... I like to know, out of, you know, the 500,000 things that are streaming right now, I often like to know from viewers, like, what was it that made you stop? What was it that made you think, oh, this might be exciting to watch? So right now, let me share a little bit about what I'm doing right now. I am working on a series of sketches and studies based on an old art book, or a reprint of an old art book from the 1800s. And what I'm doing is I'm going through these studies with oil pastel. And it is with this oil pastel that I plan to just add my own spin to things. So that's the goal with this. That is the goal. It's much more relaxing. Yeah, I guess so, huh? I hope that I can create a nice, you know, I get that often, so that's why this is helpful, is I do have to make it a goal to consistently be relaxing. Be a nice, relaxing person, a chill, fun person, not doing anything too wild and insane. So there we go. Cool. I'm glad I could help you relax for the day, for the evening, for whatever it is that helps to soothe your soul. And with that, so Shazbear was just sharing a little bit about his essay on Leonardo da Vinci. So he was talking about technological and scientific innovations, tanks, planes. Yeah, tons of really interesting stuff. And, you know, did you do like deep research into every single piece, or, you know, did that inspire you to be an artist? You said that is it Leonardo da Vinci that inspired you to be an artist? And here's the thing, like, you know, I feel like Leonardo da Vinci, the fact that he was more than just an artist, I think, you know, so many people can take different inspirations from him. You know, like an engineer could be inspired from him, not to be an artist, but to become a better engineer. You know, an inventor could be inspired by him, not necessarily to, you know, learn engineering, but to just be able to design things. So there's so many things to be taken away from Leonardo da Vinci, that there's just so many things, really. So many wonderful things. So here we go. We got a hand right here. Let's get this, and we're going to cut this hand in. I'm going to cut this hand down. I'm going to bring this hand up, and it's going to be a sharp crease. I almost made it like, let's go like this. I'm going to go 1. We're going to go 2. We're going to go 3. And then this last one is 4. So slowly building up these pieces. Wow. Kaya, thank you so much for joining, or for the super. Really appreciate you. I don't know if you want to jump on my. So quite a few things right now. So Shaz, I was having a conversation with Shaz about his essay. He wrote an essay about Leonardo da Vinci. We were talking about him earlier, and I was just thanking Kaya Lauterbach for her super. So A lot of info from scholarly journals, Love is Art and Sculptures. Oh yeah, and here's what I'm drawing. It's a little bit messy right now, so I did this piece yesterday. Here's a self-portrait right here. Does it look like me? Anyway, so I originally did this hand yesterday, and I got really frustrated with it, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted. So I like this one, but this one didn't really work out. So I'm doing it again. I'm giving it a second go ahead to do this hand again. And yes, so unfortunately I can't like see people's profile photos with my streaming platform. Otherwise I would be more interactive, because on my TikTok I can like pull up someone's picture and it's a little picture and I could just do a quick sketch of them. But yeah, so that's what I'm drawing right now, this hand. I'm going through the sketching phase. So, you know, anytime I draw these, they come in multiple phases. And it's literally laid out right here. I'm not tracing, but I'm pretty much copying. These are studies. It's just a project I'm doing to go through this entire book. It's about 200 something plates. It's about 450 pages, but the second half is just duplicates that has these grids on it that can be helpful. The first half has no grids, so I prefer to do it without grids. I really like the exercise of training my eyes to be able to see and interpret, and I definitely find that you know, I definitely find myself really developing that skill very well with this style of drawing. And with that said, yeah, there we go. So Suzanne, am I going to stream every day? I don't stream every day. I don't always have the time, but I will make the effort to stream as much as possible. So, you know, my last series of videos was going through, so I had a pen and I had like an ink refill in it, and the last series was like, I spent like 47 hours trying to use up all the ink in that pen. But for now, my goal is to just get through this book, not any sort of like feat like that. So let me go ahead. Let's get this sketch going. So let's see how we can, this needs to be a little bit angled more. And we're gonna go down for this pinky. You have to thin this pinky out a little bit more. I'm gonna go, let's see, let's go down right here. I'm figuring out the shape of the hand. And here we go. So this finger actually comes up a bit, and we're gonna go down right. It needs to come up a bit further. So I'm just talking through this project. So I'm just talking through this right now. I'll be right with you in a moment, Shazbear. Let me get this basic sketch down real quick. Give me a moment and I'll focus on this, because just give me a few moments here. Let's get this angled down. This is my second attempt at this. Let's see. We'll definitely continue to interact here in a few moments, but I want to just get this. Let's nail some of these features down. And there we go. This finger needs to be a little bit shorter than the other one. So that's one thing about oil pastels, though, is they get very messy where you're drawing. So you have to like really keep track of where your line work is, and get a couple more lines in right here just to tighten up these knuckles here. Tighten up these knuckles. Make sure I have this design. I'm running across some of the same problems I had yesterday, but doing much better than I was. And gotta angle this up. Okay, so let's see. What are some of my favorite forms of art? What do you mean forms of art? You mean like styles? So some of my favorite styles are post-impressionism, which most people define with Vincent van Gogh, and um, yeah, post-impressionism. I mean, I love most arts. Really enjoying the exploration of at more abstract styles like Piet Mondrian, who, you know, the blue, the red, and the yellow squares with the black lines. I just think about designs like that, and you know, it almost seems like an obvious thing, right? Like, let me just come up with squares, something so simple, right? Yet no one in history, in the 40,000 years of human history, had come up with it and like turned it into its own style. Like, you know, it's just like when you look at that piece, like Piet Mondrian or even Rothko, you know, you look at those pieces and it's like, you see it, it's simple, like anybody can copy it. But to really think that it took like 40,000 years for somebody to really make it super known, that just blows my mind. So, what I draw yesterday, you have to go, sorry, good time drawing. Hey, just real quick, just to answer your question, thanks so much for being here, Suzanne. This is what I did yesterday, plus a couple of little portraits here. So this is a self-portrait of me, in the style of, we'll call it Jean-Michel Basquiat. This self-portrait right here, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and a couple other self-portraits of my TikTok viewers, and some of my highest gifters from TikTok. So thanks, Nate and Shay, if you're watching. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up this hand here, and let's go. So I hope that answers your question, Shaz. I don't know if that was helpful. Feel free to let me know your opinion or your ideas. But yeah, so constantly just learning new styles. This great book I've been listening to. It's called What Are You Looking At? And it's by someone named Tom something, I think, or something. And they used to be a former director of the Tate Modern Art Museum. And they basically go through every movement from like Impressionism to modern contemporary art. And you can learn so much from that book. It's amazing. It's an amazing book. Highly recommended if you want to really dive into art and get like a super crash course from everything after Impressionism, Impressionism and afterwards. If you're looking for a crash course, I highly recommend that book. Amazing book. You feel like an expert on art after you read it. I've gone through it at least a couple times just on Audible. But right now I've got this hand, and let me share a little update before I go into the next phase. So I've got the basic sketch in my hand right now. This is a basic sketch. And we're going to go ahead and move into this next phase here, which is adding in some shadows. So let's do that. Let's add in the shadows of our piece right now. So I want to go with a dark color. So let's use a dark red. We're going to keep this like a dark red. This is considered a brown. You know, this is funny. This is called brown, but it looks like a red to me, right? It's got some red. It's like a very reddish brown. Let's call it a reddish brown, shall we? But yeah, the book is an absolutely fantastic read. I listened to it on Audible. I highly recommend it on Audible as well. But we're going to use this brown. It's more like a reddish brown, a clay. I call this a clay brown. And we're going to use this for the dark part of our stone. I guess this hand is resting on stone here. So that's what this color is going to be. And let's color this in. yeah, so anybody who's into art, I would highly recommend that. And if you're looking to connect with your nephew or other artists, like that's such a great wonderful book to get like a crash course on art and modern perspectives, reputable, all that. You can learn so many names in just like one book real quickly. But it is also a British, from the British Museum curators, so it might, it might have its own, biases. But you know what? Everything is biased today, so just, know that it is written for the Brits, or it was written by British curators. So there we go. But anyway, we're moving along here. Some shout outs on TikTok here. Elector Medina, Smiley, Riley Harris, Cheryl, Jessica, Sharmila, Apan, Lid J Love, and CGuz24. And I will share an update in a few moments once we get through this phase. But I'm going through a phase right now. We'll call this we're going through a color phase. And the goal here is to add some of the dark shadows that are along this piece here. Some of the darker shadows that are right up on the edge of our hand, our arm. And we're going to keep them soft so that they don't seem too forced. And by forced, I mean like, you can get a little bit rough with oil pastels just to get the oil pastels off, and that can create like effects that you don't really want. So just doing my best to keep them nice and soft. Am I a fan of Dali? Yes, I am definitely a fan of Dali. Now, I'm not like a huge fan of Dali, but, one of my favorite paintings of his, it's not like one of his, what do you call it? One of my favorite paintings of his isn't one of his surrealist pieces. One of my favorite Dali pieces is actually this still life. I don't remember what year it's from, because he has so many names, still life, but it's one of his still lifes. And what I love about it is the composition of it. So, let me just draw this out. So the composition of it, it's like there's an apple over here, and then a square item over here, and then like an item over here. So the composition of it, he has like these different objects, and this is just an example. I don't know what exactly is in it. But you know how everybody talks about like composition? Oh, like put the objects that you want to be seen in the rule of thirds or whatever. But Dali had decided to put the objects basically falling off the page. Like he doesn't complete the object on the canvas. He makes them go off the canvas. And I was like, what a guy. What an artist to like, step out of that rule book, to really kind of like, break the rules a little bit and shake them off. Now, obviously, up to that point, he was already a great artist, great painter, all that. But anytime I see a really successful artist who, at some point in their career, decides to like do something a little bit uncouth, according to the fine art establishments of that day, which today it's way different than it was in his day, but uncouth compared to the fine art establishments of the day. I like that. I really like that. I like the rule breakers. So anyway, I might not be using the word uncouth there correctly, but I'm sure you get the idea. So yeah, so am I a fan of Dali? Absolutely. Now, am I like a super fan? Do I know all his paintings? I know some of them. Not like, I don't model my work after him, although I'm sure his work has influenced some of my paintings. I did have one piece, by the way. Here, let me share a piece that I made that I actually felt like was very Dali-esque. Let's see, where is it? All right, let me put this down. Ooh, where can we find it? Where are you, buddy? Let's see, where art thou? Ah, here we go. So I will say that this piece right here is something that I felt really captured the color, Dali's colors. I was inspired by his colors when I did this painting, and when I added this window, I wanted to do something a little bit surreal into this. So yeah, something playing with like a mannequin or whatever. But yeah, you're not the biggest fan when artists get heavily labeled as being part of one movement. Like I said, Dali was not strictly a surrealist. Yeah, right on. I mean, good for him that, anytime someone thinks surreal, 90% people who think surreal, they think him. Good for him, Sometimes it's good to, be stuck in a box, and sometimes it's not good. Yeah, thank you. So, yep, this is a fun little piece. And these are all still life items that I had in my apartment that, I decided to tie together. A key, tied a little rubber band with something into it. And honestly, these colors were actually accidental. I'd actually seen a Dali painting, a couple Dali paintings before I did this. And I kind of like started to paint, and I used like a blue background, and I was going to make it like totally blue. But then I threw on some yellow, and I kind of like felt that I was really starting to kind of get his colors in some of his paintings. This like, yellowish, whitish glow. And I decided to stick with it. So, yeah, a little bit by accident, a little bit inspired. Well, a lot inspired, but yeah. So that was a fun piece to do. And someone had actually mentioned to me, I didn't just say that felt Dali-esque myself. Someone had mentioned to me like, oh, that's my favorite artist. It felt very Dali-esque, and I definitely appreciated it as a compliment from that person. So here we go. We're working through these hands right now, coloring through these hands. But who are some of your favorite artists in the past 30 years? Let's say 30. Let's limit it to 1994. I don't think I could name an artist since 1994. Oh yeah, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he's like whatever. 1994. Who's that guy? He's a British guy. He's an older gentleman. He did something with a shark. He put a shark in a preservation tank. He's literally one of the most successful artists, living artists. Yeah, you know what? I can't name a few. Do I like NASCAR? What am I drawing? Do I like NASCAR? NASCAR's cool. I don't watch NASCAR though. So this is what I'm working on right now. I'm turning this into a hand, and I'm doing it in phases. So I will share with you this next phase that we're about to go into. But for now, I want to tighten up this piece with some of the shadows before we get super into these details here. So let me get some of these shadows in, and we'll start to formulate the rest of this. And thanks for tuning in. So, can I draw number 17 from NASCAR? If I can. I can't look it up right now. Oh yeah, Keith Haring. Yeah, Keith Haring was here. So I can't look up anything right now because both of my phones are streaming. I'm actually streaming on TikTok on my other phone. You're on my streaming phone, but I have another phone for TikTok. And yeah, so they're both up for use right now. So in my TTP Dara, if you want to explain and describe what you're talking about, I'm happy to hear, but I can't take requests right now. I'm like a DJ right now. I'm like a grumpy DJ who can't take requests. I'm just kidding. I'm not a grumpy DJ, but I just can't take requests right now. Unless Kyra, who earlier had provided a super sticker, was to ask for something. But thanks to the supers. Oh. And draw number 17 from NASCAR. Okay, well, hey, I'm happy to help support the Swiftie fans. My girlfriend was just telling me this morning about how rappers are trying to jump on the Swiftie train, and they're all trying to come up with like clever lyrics related to Taylor Swift. I feel like anybody who talks about Taylor Swift or like makes a video about Taylor Swift can easily get like a good video, not like a crappy video, but a decent video with Taylor Swift is instantly going to get like at least a few thousand, 5,000 views. Easy. So let's see here. I've got a thing that I gotta tighten up right here. Let me see where I was going with this section. Let me go around, and I gotta go around and out. I'm so underrated. Love my art. Hot Gamers, IMYTTP. What's going on? How are you all doing today? Hot Gamers in my TTP. Thank you. You love my art. I really appreciate that. Hot Gamers, what up? So very exciting to have some new and wonderful visitors. But Shazbear was here. Christian Marvita, welcome. I didn't notice I might have answered your question, but I didn't give you a shout out. But welcome. So Christian Marvita, yeah, I will share an update here in a few moments. But let me get some of these colors down so that we can start to really see what it's going to turn out to be. Because when I just have the basic, it's still like in that transition phase. It's in like still in the ugly phase. Kind of like when I was a teenager. I had an ugly phase, right? So have you ever seen art from Studio Ghibli? I'd like to create that style as well. Can I play music? I can't play music because every time I do, my channel gets a copyright issue. So I don't know how to fix that the way I stream right now. So unfortunately, I can't play music right now. I think I actually can technically, but I don't want to have to deal with like blocking it out on my stream. That's really annoying. So for at least a little bit, my stream is going to be musicless, and we're just going to have to talk. We're just going to have a conversation, people. We're just going to have a discussion. Is that cool, Hot Gamers? All right. Have I seen art from Studio Ghibli? No, I have. What am I saying? Of course, everybody has seen art from Studio Ghibli, even if they never asked for it. But yeah, that's amazing work. It's a very unique style of Japanese artistic creative brilliance. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, the only thing about Studio Ghibli though that I think most people who want to learn how to draw it simply won't it's not easy to teach is, you know, you can draw Studio Ghibli, like, easy enough, right? Like, you could trace Studio Ghibli, but very few people are gonna be able to truly capture the, you know, that quality, that emotional quality of every Studio Ghibli film, you know? It's just, you could copy something, but to really capture the essence of, like, a piece, you really gotta, like, really dive in and love it, appreciate it, study it, and understand what really makes Studio Ghibli, you know, this such a powerful, like, emotional experience as far as the art style is concerned. You know, there's a color palette and everything that you can copy, and, you know, the style, but I just don't think that I think that just copying it and being able to draw the characters isn't enough for most people. But yeah, he's so incredible. Like his characters, they say so much, you know. They say so much with such, like, you know, it's cartoon, but they still say so much. So yeah, Hayao Miyazaki. Do I take drawing requests of something that I can draw without looking at? Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I do take requests. Now, usually if it's very, very, very simple, I'll take it. Like, if someone's like, hey, you know, can you do whatever? But I do special requests for people that, you know, on my TikTok give gifts or supers. So, yes, it's a possibility. And here we go. Gifts, supers will make anybody take requests. Or I'll only do, like, you know, a couple. If you're like, hey, can you just draw a stick figure holding up a pizza? I might do it. But I have had people come in this room and then, like, you know, I do one request and then they ask for another one and then they keep asking for another one, and then they, as soon as I don't do one, they just leave. So that's a little upsetting to me, because I'm like, okay, you know, thanks for using me, right? I don't know. Anyway, life of a streamer, people. You have to be able to figure out that balance of making people happy, keeping people happy, but also managing your best supporters, your biggest, the people who, you know, really like what you do, versus people who just want a streamer to do stuff for them. So anyway, what I'm doing right now is Bashazbear. Okay, so you were talking about Hayao Miyazaki and how that art style inspires you. Is that work that you do? Do you have a channel with all of that as well? Are you slowly building up a reputation as a Hayao Miyazaki content creator? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Hayao Miyazaki. Hayao. From my understanding, the Japanese language is very syllable based. Not Japanese, by the way. I draw a smiley face. Yeah, I can draw a smiley face. Let's go and add my own spin to it. Actually, you know what? I'll add my signature smiley face. How about that? My signature smiley face.
You guys want more? Wow.
Is a yellow smiley face with red. So here's my signature smiley face. This little yellow guy right there. My signature smiley face. There you go. And now I'm continuing work on his hand here. So we're gonna be doing continuing work on his hand. And I definitely noticed now that there's some really, really subtle things that I have to be aware of for this piece. Because there's a lot of wrinkles now. I'm working with a lot of like subtle wrinkles on his hand. And if I'm not careful, I can really start to lose them. And we don't want to do that. We want to keep these wrinkles. So you got to find like just the right balance of color and everything to make that happen. So here we go. We're going to go around with this green here, doing this dark green. Do y'all hear that kitten? Y'all hear the kitten just meowing away as if it has never been fed before? Is that just what kittens do? She's not a kitten anymore. She's a full-grown adult cat.
Quite an adult.
That could definitely have had quite a litter of cats. So anyway, here we go. So we're gonna go around and here we go. Filling in this dark shadow area.
Here you guys, here. Eat some more.
This is one really jacked up finger in my opinion.
Eat some more.
But that's what it is. It's a jacked up finger. And here we go. We're going to do that shadow. And then we're going to go into this other shadow space right around here. And let's go like so. Bring this down. And bring this shadow space, just a nice green shadow. Pop it down and make it nice and subtle. So you really like Studio Ghibli films, or is it Ghibli or Ghibli? I think it's Studio Ghibli, right? Studio Ghibli. So you're inspired to paint a piece from Spirited Away for school. All right, so you're a painter. Look at that, Shaz. Shaz is a painter. We've got a painter here. That's a great challenge that you took on. But it's great that, you know, you're starting this passion and this discovery as you're in high school, because I definitely think that whatever you do in high school can carry over into habits into your adult life, even if you don't use them, right? Like, I got really into exercise in high school. I wasn't an artist in high school, but I really was into exercising, and I feel that has definitely helped me keep that habit. So even though, you know, I'm not like a super athlete, the activity itself of just continuously being active and fit and exercising. Well, yeah, I did run a marathon. I completed a marathon. But, you know, just that idea itself, I think has really helped me to... Just the activity itself in high school was enough to kind of keep me going throughout every other time. College, life after, etc. So here we go. We're on the last finger here as far as shadow goes. And I think I really need to help to define some of the shadows here. get the shadow, go around here, come around. Let's go down, down, down. Whew. All right, so here's an interesting question. Would I consider video games an art form? So what do you mean, like, would I consider playing video games as a live streamer an art form? Is that what your question is? Or would I consider art in video games? Oh yeah, totally. I would definitely consider video games, the art itself in video games, or the video game itself artwork. Yeah, 100%. I actually studied concept art, which I imagine you probably know what that is if you're so into art in high school. But I did study concept art for a little bit, and yeah, you know, it requires a lot of great artists to be involved in a video game in order to make it a fully fleshed out video game. It really does. Now, I will say that, you know, I do often create a differentiation. I like to differentiate between, you know, super technical artists and, you know, technical artists like 3D artists. They're artists, but they're also very technical. Like, they're very, you know, they can recreate any object in the known universe in 3D. But, you know, if you ask them to try to come up with, you know, a new design for something, they'll be totally, like, stumped, right? Or if you ask them to come up with, like, an idea for a new creature monster, they might struggle to even draw it or come up with an idea, right? So, there's definitely different ways of thinking for I definitely differentiate between different types of artists. But is it art? Yes. I would totally say it is. I would totally say that art that's made for like video games and stuff is definitely art. 100%. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and just add a couple more details to this hand. So, you know, one thing about this hand is I think I have the lengths of the fingers right, but I don't quite feel. Still gotta put work on these shadows. I'm not sure if this is gonna turn out the way I want it to. You can already see this finger kind of looks a little bit funky, but maybe we will make it happen. You think what makes video games such an interesting art is that graphics don't necessarily equate to good art, style, and direction. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Style and direction is totally important. Here's the, you are way beyond like me as far as just the fact that you said that. You're way beyond me as far as video game and, you know, graphic art is concerned. I would have never said anything like that. You think, obviously I said what I said and it was nothing like what you had presented, which is very, very creatively mature career-wise. Like, that sounds like an answer that a professional game graphic artist would say. So, and I'm not a professional video game artist. So let's see. You think makes video games such an interesting art is that graphics don't necessarily equate to good art? Yeah. Yeah, style and direction are very important. Like, I couldn't have said it any better myself, right? It's one of those. Yeah. I always wonder, like, if I was sitting on a panel somewhere and someone just said this, like, really super brilliant thing, and I was like, I would have never thought of that, like, what would I say? What would be the best thing to say? Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Anyway, no, I wouldn't steal the thunder. I would be like, wow, that's freaking smart. Yeah, I agree. You know? Alright, so anyway, I'm on green. And I want to go with a neon green right now. I'm going with this neon green. So you're an avid gamer. You feel like games can have bad graphics. It's still good art design. Yeah, totally. There's tons of... I mean, yeah. I mean, it is its own world. Video games are their own powerful world of many creative people. And... it definitely takes a village. I mean, you know, look at games like, I've never played this game, but I always hear about it as like a masterpiece, but Stardew Valley. And you know, there's just so much involved with games though. And you know, it's just one of those things. Video games are not a solo activity. I mean, video game creation is not a solo activity. Video games are definitely potentially a solo activity. But I think there's very few games that could be made with just a single person. Like, I think some kid made something Birds, Angry Birds. Is that the famous game? The famous game, right? So, Angry Birds. So here we go, going in here into our spaces and just coloring in some of the details. And I think once I put in that these green highlights, we're gonna really start to form make this make more sense, for lack of a better word. Usually it's not until you add like just the initial major color blocking that you start to capture the main ideas. Yeah, so you should start playing this game. Tsushima combines incredible graphics with really strong artistic direction. Yeah, I mean, you know, like Metal Gear Solid. What really made, I mean, every game from like pre 2010, pre PS3, PlayStation 3. I don't even know when that came out, but picking, yeah, every game prior to that, graphics were not all that good. But you know what, like Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, I can't really list off too many other games, but you know, those all those games, they were considered some of the most beautiful masterpieces, whatever you want to call them, even though the graphics compared to today were only mediocre, right? Like, things change, technology improves, and it's the art direction that's really gonna make the audience get super involved or love a video game. Yeah, totally. MGS was its own art form, or the concept artist, you know, like that's why it is such a wonderful and successful franchise. Metal Gear Solid. It is such a fantastic game, but even more so than the graphics, right? Like, I think the modern graphics that it has only adds to the brilliance of it, but more than that is the overall story direction. I mean, directing is its own art form, artistic direction. What you're saying, yeah, for sure. So there you have it. That's my answer. Hi. Something is still not working with these hands, so I'm gonna spend continuously more time on this. So a few people have joined the TikTok here. Let's see. Sunrise and Big Joe have been here. I want to say thank you for being here. Haven't been able to do too many shouts because every time... Oh, I got it. Let's see. All right, Melissa has joined. Welcome, Sheena. Maurice, Rod McDaniel, CGuz24. Hello, welcome. Always love seeing new and old faces on my TikTok channel. Let's see what I have a text message. Let's see what it says. Ah, wonderful. Anasandra, Jayed, welcome, Jayed. I feel like I'm making the same mistake on his hand as yesterday, though. What can I do to not make these same mistakes? What do I need? What needs to happen here? I think I need to darken the dark areas and lighten the light areas. So let's do that. Let's darken the dark areas a little bit. I'm gonna take a brown here. How would I darken the brown? Yeah, let's go with brown and just start to go into this space here. I don't want to carve away at what's already here, so let me go with this dark purple. We're gonna go over this with like a dark purple. Oh, stationary pen brand. So here's the hand I've got so far. I definitely think it's better than yesterday's hand. I'm a little bit happier with it than yesterday's, but I still have some things that I gotta work on. So stationary pen brand, you know, I would say I have a lot of rote ring pens. Where's that pen? Is that in here? Rote ring. So I really like my rote ring pen for like a retractable, refillable ballpoint. So this is a rote ring 600. It's nice and heavy duty. It's not really good for drawing because it's like heavy and it's really hard on the hands. Like, look at this grip. This grip is very rough, and this will create calluses on your knuckles if you use it for far too long. But I really like that it's heavy, it's very dense, and it's great for like if you're out and about. I'm not afraid to like drop it and it's gonna break. But I have this, and let's see. I got a small collection of various pens. So, you know, I use Copic multiliners for just black ink drawing. These are really handy because they actually hold a lot of ink. I use this. It's a rote ring art pen, and it's a I forget what this is called. I forget what type of tip this is called, but a fountain. Yes, this is a fountain art pen, but it doesn't really have a lot of ink when I put in it, and it's like I constantly have to refill it because the ink either dries or it the tip falls out. It doesn't fall out. It's like it's very sensitive, right? This is more of a delicate art pen. If I drop if I have this in my backpack and my backpack falls or smacks into something, you know, the little tip inside might come loose, or you know, sometimes the ink dries and I have to like do all this stuff to fix it. So I really like to draw with this pen, but it's a very delicate pen for someone who's very rough with his materials. So what else? I mean, everyone's got to have a... So this is my heavy-duty pen, a Lamy. This is just a heavy-duty fountain pen. Heavy-duty fountain pen. Not worried about it breaking. And then, of course, you know, a nice little Nice little brush pen. Always comes in handy. I'm not really good with a brush pen though. I like to use it just because I feel like I'm being painterly while drawing, but I can't say I'm that great with a brush pen. So, you know, those are I wouldn't have bought it if they weren't my favorites, right? But these are some of my choices. I did a lot of research before I bought those, which I think makes me, which I think I could credibly say, that's what makes them my favorite. You know, I've tried a handful of pens, but not like, you know, tons and tons of pens. But yeah, and here we go. So I'm really looking right now to darken some of these pieces here. I really want to darken the space so that I can create some separation between the area here. I really want to define and separate the space between the hand and the rock here. I think right now is a good time to like carve this out. These are some jacked up looking hands though that I'm actually sketching. They were jacked up in the first place. It's like a trap. Well, hey, yo, thanks for, you know, taking the time to jump in here, Shaz. Really, really appreciate you. It's really fun tuning in, and I think it's always great. Next time I will stream, I'll make an attempt tomorrow night, but, you know, usually during the weekdays, today's Memorial Day, but usually during the weekdays, I'm in the evenings, like Pacific time, like 2 p.m., somewhere between 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. I don't have a regular stream schedule because my work schedule is constantly changing. But yeah, if you want, you know, hit me up on like Instagram or TikTok at Huzzah Creative, Huzza Creative, Huzzah Creative, and you know, I'll be on those platforms. You'll get a notification for sure. But yeah, thanks for joining in and having a conversation. It's nice to be able to find a tribe. You know, that's really what the wonderful thing about live streaming is making it easy to find tribes, for lack of a better term. Especially, you know, if you're an artist and you don't really live somewhere where it's easy to be an artist. You know, I think that there's probably some people who can't easily find their tribes where they live. I just saw this, and by the way, you can feel free to leave anytime. I have to go on and on because YouTube will stop referring me to people if I get too quiet, or TikTok will warn me about not talking. But anyway, I saw this ad today about California. Is your child in an art desert? And I guess the premise is like, you know, there's probably a lot of artistic children who are limited not by their talent but by the opportunities that are around them, that are open to them creatively. Even in California, like, you know, you think California, like, this is one of the most creative states in the universe, right? But even here, there are people who, or young artists who are not able to thrive in the way that maybe their parents would like. So I can only imagine what it would be like in a different country or different city or even country. So let's see. Let's see about this hand. It's getting a little better. Got to tighten up a couple more areas here. But yeah, I'm on pretty often, multiple times a week. If I haven't been able to come on a week, I'll find another day. But let's go ahead and we're gonna add another darker color here. We're gonna go with like a dark blue to tighten up this green shadow hand. So these green hands here need to be darkened with the blue. Excuse me. Ooh, did you hear that burp? Nobody heard that burp. And here we go. So we're gonna go around. Whew. Okay, let's go. Let's bring this up here. And let's go. Let's continue this space right here. We're gonna go, and we're gonna go bring this in here. And let's go keep pushing this right going on. We're gonna go push these hands and get these hands moving here. Pushing and expanding these hands upward, or these shadows on these hands. What I need to do right now is I need to tighten up let's tighten up the shadow. Get the shadow right here. Give it and then here we go. We can let's see, create this nice sharp shadow right here. How can we tighten this up? So this is a little bit too, yes, needs to be tightened up there. Let's tighten up this. Ooh. Wow. She really accessed her Meisner for that. So here we go. That was a Meisner moment, Kat. Did you hear that? It was a very Meisner moment. All right, so here we go. Right now, I'm really focusing on some of the tighter details that I just failed to really appreciate on the last go around. So I'm hoping that this go around, the extra focus. Again, doing this with oil pastels, there's a level of all right. Getting a little better here. Getting a little better. We can really see the separation between the hands. But what we... Oh, CE Bond 2. Welcome. Good to see ya. Thanks for the comment this afternoon on the $36 watermelon. Can you believe that? Huh?
Where was the $36 watermelon?
Well, I told you the watermelon that I bought this morning was a quarter watermelon. Is it like $8.50. So you multiply that by 4, you're looking at about a $36 watermelon right there. You know?
Right.
So yeah, crazy prices on watermelons out in Los Angeles. And the funny thing is, they didn't sell whole watermelons. They did sell like the little baby watermelons that like kind of sit in your own hand. They call them personal watermelons, and they were like $6. But I'm pretty sure you get like 10 bites out of them and you're done. So yeah, what are we gonna do? Let's see. Let's see what color we're gonna use for the outside. So we got these contrasting colors right now. We got the red and we got the green, and we got to find a color that will bring them together. I really got to soften the edges on this. Like you could see that there's so much grit. There's a grittiness to these hands that I really need to adjust. I need to fix those because it's really making the fingers look much longer than they really are. But let me see. So got the red, got the green, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Let's go with the violet. We're gonna go violet around the edges here. Yeah, they are. I don't know if you were able to shop for watermelon prices where you live, CE Bond, but yeah, they're out of control. Like, you know, this morning I was like, oh, you know, I'll save some money and just get a watermelon. I hadn't bought a watermelon in a long time, like just straight watermelon. Usually I buy them like pre-cut, but this morning I was like, no, let me get a whole watermelon. And you know, it's like, what the heck? First of all, I couldn't find a whole watermelon. I thought it would be pretty cheap to just get a whole watermelon. Like, I thought I'd be spending like, I don't know, $10-15 max. But I could only find the quarter watermelon. Yeah, it's crazy. So $36 for a whole watermelon. They would only, and you know, I think it's like so expensive they can't possibly sell them in whole. That's like my assumption, is that, you know, they didn't want to sell them in whole because people would go nuts about the price if they knew. So they're not selling whole watermelons anymore, from my understanding. And other than that, you know, other than the crazy watermelon prices today, how are you doing, CE Bond 2? What's going on in your world, my friend? Share an interest. You got any interesting Memorial Day stories? Did you meet any new people today? Did you do a good deed? I haven't done a good deed today. Besides, what was my good deed?
You drove me to the beach.
Ah, well, I drove somebody to the beach. Yeah, I guess that's a good deed, huh?
Just the love of your life.
Right. Well, like, you can't really call that a good deed. That's just like, you know, something that I do. I think a good deed is to be considered if it's for somebody that wasn't expecting it. So let's see, what can I do to oof. So I got this purple surrounding. Went to your grandpa's house for some food. Oh, she never screams, so she's fine. Okay, well that's good. Glad your grandma's okay. Are you very? It sounds like you're pretty close to your grandparents. That's good. It's a good thing to be close to your grandparents. Because when you're a grandparent, you're gonna hope that your grandkids are close to you. And that's awesome that you have the opportunity to visit them. All right. And but other than that, it sounds like you had a good day. I mean, you got to eat, you got to go back home and jump on YouTube and all that. That's very good. So, you know what brings you out here this evening? Were you just super bored of whatever video games you might be playing, or there's nothing good on TV, or is there something you want to share with the world? You want to get things off your chest? All right. So now I just got to tighten this up. Let me use a little bit of yellow. I'm going to tighten up the area around our hands here. All right, cool. Well, hey, thanks for just stopping by and saying hi. That's very nice of you. Yeah, it's great. And I do find it amusing, though, that I feel like neighbors should do that more often. Just like drop by and say hi to your neighbor. I don't do that enough. Once in a while, like I'll like knock on my neighbor's door and I'll be like, "Oh, you wanna have some of our pizza that we just got?" But that's a great quality, you know. You can just drop by and say hi to people. That's a great skill to have as you get older, because just keeping in contact with people can start to get really difficult, you know. It could be a challenge. So, you know, I don't know how old you are or whatever, but that's a very useful skill to just be able to like chime in and keep up to date with people. Alright, I need to tighten up this green Hulk hand that we've got going on here. Let me see what happens if I use my fingers. You only get a wave? Yeah. Neighbors are a funny thing, aren't they? It's like, you could have a good relationship, a good, useful relationship with your neighbors. Like, who else should you have it with? So I've spent almost an hour and a half on this hand, and I'm like, still struggling with it. This is the second time I've done this hand. But I think what I'm doing wrong is that it's got this like, it's got the grittiness from the oil pastel, and the grittiness just isn't working well with this specific piece. So I use my hand to really blend it together, and now I think it's too dark. Right? It's a little too dark right now. I think it's better, but it's a little too dark. So that means I gotta do something else to fix it. yeah, honestly, I guess like, you know, at least they wave, because I have neighbors that we don't like. You know, we have neighbors that we don't get along with, and I guess that's worse than having neighbors that you don't really know, right? So let's see right now. I'm gonna try to go over this with like a nice light green here. It's amazing how just a certain color can really give it like an effect. Because this green and red really kind of makes it look totally unusual. So let me see what I can do. I want to tighten it up just a bit more. I feel like if I just get like these final little details, I can really push this. So yeah, what's the agenda for your week? Do you have your week planned? CE bond, is that something that you do? Do you plan your entire week, or do you play it by ear?
Waiting for you whenever you can make it. And to answer the question, everyone is we have made the provision in our way.
And here we go. Having an opportunity to tighten up these pieces right now. There we go. Having a chance to add some wrinkles here, some nice subtle wrinkles. There we go, adding in the wrinkles. I think we're almost there. I think we've almost got this. Just adding in these wrinkles. And let's see, we're gonna get another triangle hand right here. Just gonna try to get through finals for classes. Awesome. Yeah, what classes are you doing nowadays? Do share. What's the biggest challenge in your life right now? So we got Samir Mujica, Tara Mathis, Kumi Ui, Mila Fisher Price, all on TikTok. How fun, how fun. So let's go. So I will share an update on this piece in a moment here. Gotta push this out just a bit further. Get a little bit more shadow around the edge here. It's a nice round finger. Gotta tighten this up. And give this a bit more form. This finger still does not make sense to me, but whatever. Spanish. Español es tu muy mucho hardest subjecto. Yeah, I mean, learning other languages is really difficult. It's not something to definitely not something you're gonna want to take lightly. You know, one thing though I would say is if I was in school again, I would take language more seriously. Like, put more effort into it. If I was to start over, I would definitely take my languages a bit more seriously. But I just never knew how, I guess, you know? Only because, like, you know, when you're in school, that's like the best time to learn languages. I mean, obviously, well, I guess the best time to learn languages is if you're in a foreign country and you're living there. But the second best time is when you're in school. And that is definitely something I would make an extra effort on. But it just, you know, whatever. At the time, it wasn't the thing that I felt like would really change my life. And, you know, even today, I feel like knowing the languages wouldn't totally change my life, but they're definitely very helpful. So, oh my goodness, I've been continuously working on this hand. Let me get down into here with these shadows to really define these shadows here and get rid of these little white marks that kind of distract. Let's get that dark blue again. Oh, so you do. Well, that's good. You know, at least you put in the effort. Because here's the other thing: is if you put in the effort in a language, you know, it will definitely show. And you'll definitely be like, ah, yes. I'm so glad I put in this extra effort later. But I also think the hardest thing with languages is having the confidence to know. To like say, yeah, I know a little bit. I think that's definitely one of the hardest things for languages. Is to accept that you know something. You might not know a lot, but you know something. Enough to be able to have the conversation. Yeah, I hope you do well on that exam. Is that exam this upcoming week, or when does that exam come up for you? And here I go. I'm going ahead and there we go. This hand has definitely gotten better, but I think with oil pastels, this is what we're gonna stick with here. So hey, Emmett, CE Bond 2, thanks for jumping in. I know you caught me at the tail end of this stream where I've actually gotten focused here. But hey, take care. I hope you have a great exam. And what happened to this? My goodness, let me fix this a bit more. I don't think this blue, this light blue was a good touch. So here we go. We're pretty much done with this hand. But again, why? I'm trying to figure out how to make this not look like it's just a crease across the entire hand. How would I do that? Ah, I see where it's wrong. So this needs to come across here. And this needs to come from below the knuckle. That's why. And then we're going to tighten this up, lighten this space up a little bit. So here we go. All right. Go. I really like to put it up to the screen and look at it, because when I do this, I can get a much better view of how others might see it. So still working, gotta do something to really solidify the top of this hand. My goodness. It's one thing to draw the hand, it's another to draw all of the subtle wrinkles and creases on the hand. All right, so no, we're going to call a wrap on this hand, and we'll probably meet again with this hand at some point in the future, but for now, this is what we're going to be working with. So we're actually going to wrap up this live stream right now here. We're going to wrap up this live stream, as it's been quite a long one, knocked out 2 hours. So I have hit a drawing personal limit. So you know what though? Yeah, I think right now is a good time to call it a night. So for those of you that tuned in, thank you so much. And oh, let's see, color with me. All right, so color with me. It's funny how people like kind of just jump in as soon as you're about to like leave. But I guess it's based on attention, right? Like if all my attention is on the page, there we go. So here we go. Color with me wants people to see their lives. So thanks so much. Thanks for the likes. Right now, anybody on TikTok who wants to have a conversation, here I am. I guess, you know, art is one of those things that can totally get you engaged, and it's really difficult to like talk and do the work at the same time, but I can find myself starting to develop that skill to like learn how to do that better. But here we go. Next time I think I'm just gonna wear this as a mask. This is my self-portrait mask. Does it look like me? I would say this looks like me, right? Something like that. Who wants a... Hey, you know what? Let's keep this... Let's get this going. Gifters get a self-portrait. So if you become the top gifter in the next next few minutes, you'll get a portrait for yourself in this style. If you become the top gifter in the next few moments before I head out of here, you will get a portrait for yourself in this style. It is open for now. For a few moments, we will be doing this. And as we're doing this, I do want to share some of the thoughts behind this. So some of these portraits were inspired by the works of Jean-Michel Basquiat in what they call Neo-Expressionist, N-E-O Expressionist. And what I really find interesting about Neo-Expressionism is how they're able to just capture like these fun details just so quickly. You know, actually I've been thinking about how to do this portrait style for quite a while now because, I saw Jean-Michel Basquiat's portrait, his self-portrait, and I was thinking, wow, that is brilliant, that is creative, that is incredibly like how he captured himself with just a single color. He just uses like a black oil, I believe he uses an oil stick, and he just fills the page with this oil stick and is able to capture himself. And I wanted to try to do something like that, something fun. And I think this is it. If I was to say that I was going to have a self-portrait for now, this would be it for sure. And I guess I should probably do another live stream that just focuses on this. But come color with me. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking the live. I can see that right now is probably a good time to take a break. So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to call this a wrap. Happy Memorial Day.